Oh boy, we might end up in trouble for this video. However, we're going to present it nonetheless. And today we're going to be delivering nothing short of a thought-provoking video that is concerned with the cryptocurrency space as a whole and what's really going on here. And of course, XRP and its role in regards to being a key player in the transformation that this technology is going to bring to the world, distributed ledgers are going to bring to the world. And what we're going to be doing is looking at a number of articles. We're going to be looking at an article that actually outlines the fact that Ripple existed before Bitcoin. It was from the University of Durham. It was written by a doctor. And he talks about some interesting points in regards to what Ripple are actually trying to do as a company and thus how they're looking to use and leverage XRP. Now, XRP's ledger came about in 2012. Of course, it was worked on by the likes of Jed McCaleb and David Schwartz. David Schwartz, interestingly, is actually ex-NSA. NSA released a public on how to create a digital mint back in 1997. So we're throwing lots of things out there right now, and we're going to go through them in as kind of an orderly fashion as possible. But the reason that I'm making this video is to really allow and enable you guys to think about what's actually going on here with this industry. And I've always said that I am not a believer of the Satoshi story. I don't believe this genius came out of nowhere, created a entirely new supposed monetary system, and then disappeared. And one thing when you learn about the block wars and the civil war that kind of took place in Bitcoin was there was an option for it to be able to scale as a currency through increasing block sizes. That was essentially largely, or I wouldn't say largely, but ultimately decided against. And then you had the split of course, Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin. And Bitcoin with that, in terms of its layer one, people would argue that layer two solved the problem, was essentially taken out of the race, I believe, of being a currency system to compete with the likes of the dollar. So we're going all over the place. The best place for me to start really is with what kind of simplifies what I believe is going on here in the form of a picture. And this is something that I post on Twitter. If you're not already following me on Twitter, guys, do head over to @RealAllInCrypto. Our Twitter account, just like all our accounts, are growing like wildfires at the moment. And I posted this picture. And here we have a Trojan horse with Bitcoin around its neck. And within that horse, we have the likes of XRP. I don't just think XRP is going to enable this new financial system, which is very much just the old one, but on the rails of distributed ledgers. I think it's going to be a number of the cryptocurrencies. I think Hedera is going to play a role. I think the likes of Algo potentially, Chainlink is going to play a big role in actually configuring this space, etc., etc., etc. There's lots, XLM also. There's lots that we're not mentioning. And we're kind of relating this video specifically to XRP. But more broadly, what we're getting at is that this movement was given to us in the forms of Bitcoin under mysterious circumstances on the back end of the 2008 financial crisis, where the real cracks in the system started to show. And it offered, or was supposed to offer, this alternative using distributed ledgers, where actually the real use for distributed ledgers, or the winning use for distributed ledgers, isn't going to be an alternative system. It's going to be the rejuvenation of the system that we already have. And Bitcoin, to me, is very comparable to the playing of both sides that also occurred in regards to how we ended up with a federal banking reserve. After they crashed all the private banks, there was call for reform. They said, okay, well, let's put it in the hands of Wall Street and centralize it there. And the people rebelled, and they said, okay, well, let's take it away from Wall Street and put it in the power of the people through government or through a government agency, a Federal Reserve, et cetera, et cetera. So we're losing people. Let's stick to the picture at hand. And the reason that I show this, or I posted this, was on the back end of a tweet from Donald Trump. It says the idea that the BRICS countries are trying to move away from the dollar while we stand by and watch is over. We require a commitment from these countries that they will neither create a new BRICS currency nor back any other currency to replace the mighty US dollar, or they will face 100% tariffs and should expect to say goodbye to selling into the wonderful US economy. They can go find another sucker. there's no chance that BRICS will replace the US dollar in international trade, and any country that tries should wave goodbye to America. Now, the reason why I posted this is because if Bitcoin was any competitor to the US dollar as an actual currency, and Bitcoin is amazing in many regards, but what it is a store of value at this point, and a very successful one, not a currency. And it's no threat to the dollar and the traditional financial system. Otherwise, they wouldn't have allowed it. The likes of Trump wouldn't have promoted it. They wouldn't have allowed it to get this far. They wouldn't have allowed the gatekeepers of that industry to be the very people offering it. Now, the interesting thing to all of this is Bitcoin is not doing what it set out to do anymore in regards to combating the traditional financial systems. And actually, this technology perhaps was never intended to do so. Its intent was perhaps to save them, rejuvenate them is a good word. And we can see that now coming into effect with a lot of the things that are going on within the United States and further afield. And something like XRP is in that key position. What I want to do is extend from those thoughts and actually go over to Smoke's Twitter. Great guy to follow, by the way. He posted something earlier today or last night, and it said, yes, Ripple is older than Bitcoin, and this is documented. And it is indeed. This is something that most people still don't know. We're going to play a video from the early days of Ripple as a company and what they were offering. It's a very interesting video, so do stick around for that. But many people don't know that Ripple as a company, detailed here from the Durham University, which is a UK university, I believe, by a doctor. I'm not going to try and say his name, by the way, guys. I'm definitely going to butcher it. He essentially published an article, said blockchain technology and remittances from financial inclusion to correspondent banking. And where Smoke got this from was this article. And if we go down to the Ripple formation, let's zoom out a little bit. Formalization of remittances and correspondent banking. It says older than Bitcoin itself. Remember, this is Ripple as a company and a payment solution, not the XRP ledger, which didn't, of course, come about till 2012. Older than Bitcoin itself, Ripple emerged in 2004 as a mutual credit network like a Hawala, a time bank, or a local exchange trading system. Let's for short. The primary use case for Ripple was to provide an infrastructure for scaling up Let's and other alternative currencies. This is Fugger, he was the original guy that put this company together. He then, of course, bumped into Chris Larson and Jeb McCaleb, and then they ultimately took the reins from him and subsequently formed Ripple as the company, and then, of course, the XRP ledger. Between 2012 and 2013, Ripple morphed into a distributed ledger technology. The XRP ledger that combines the mutual credit networks with the crypto asset XRP and a distributed currency exchange. Ripple is also the name of the company that offers payment solutions built on top of the XRP ledger, as well as on other technologies. While Ripple still owns a significant amount of the crypto asset XRP, the XRP ledger remains an open, distributed ledger that is not under the direct control of the company Ripple. Since 2015, the company focused primarily on interbank payments, aiming to become a contemporary or a competitor, to SWIFT. And it currently counts 200 customers in 40 countries. Now, remember, this article was wrote in 2019. We looked at that interesting, talking about 2019 earlier. I think it might have been over the weekend, actually. We released a video where we looked at what Jane Fraser, the head of Citibank, had to say about a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for new technologies to overhaul the traditional financial system. And this is what Ripple is doing, ladies and gentlemen. It's very ironic, isn't it, that this industry spawned out of, and we're going to come on to that in just a second in relation to this article, this industry spawned out of a combatant, a libertarian principle towards let's create our own currency system that is not the US dollar or the fiat systems that we can transact. I believe that idea was hijacked. I believe that idea was there to introduce us to distributed ledgers in a kind of friendly, self-sovereign, libertarian way, get us used to it, and then actually use this technology for what it was planned to be used for from the start. And that is actually the furtherment of the traditional financial system and the talons that it has to be closed even tighter. When we talk about stablecoins, when we talk about these sort of things, stablecoins are just CBDCs. It's programmable money, ladies and gentlemen. And that's coming from somebody who has a career off of being extremely bullish and loving this industry. But I can see there's a lot of things that are going on that aren't all that they seem. And I've always, since my career began, said I am not a believer of the Satoshi story. It's too good to be true. It's too well timed. It's gone too well thus far. And when too many coincidences arise, you've got yourself a theory there. Interestingly, it goes on to say something rather interesting. And where should we start from here? It says Ripple promised. In fact, let's start from the start of this next paragraph. Okay, we're going all over the place here. From the beginning, Ripple marked itself as a new and better Bitcoin. From the unbanked and underbanked, Bitcoin promised a cheap and fast means of value transfer, but its high transaction fees and slow transaction process prevented Bitcoin from delivering on that promise. Again, we spoke about the hijacking of Bitcoin. That's the title of Roger Ver's book. He speaks about the essentially wars that took place between the block sizes. So Bitcoin could have scaled on the layer 1 if you increase block size. People would have cited security issues. I think they could have been dealt with. I also think you've got to think this man was such a genius, Satoshi. He understood economics so well. Do you really think he didn't factor in the fact that if Bitcoin was to see any kind of usage, it wouldn't be able to scale? He would have had a plan for that. And I think there was a clear plan on the layer 1, which of course was largely voted against. And that basically takes Bitcoin out of the competition as it relates to being a currency. And the currency, just like Trump said, that all these countries are zealous about are their own fiat systems that they control and have a great amount of power over. And actually, this is why this article is interesting. Something like XRP is positioned to essentially enable that and going to do very well on the back end of it. So it says, where do we get to? Ripple conversely promises higher speed and lower fees, and by providing an interoperability layer between payment systems, Ripple promises to be an internet protocol for a new internet of value. In the making, a 2014 post perfectly encapsulated this turn of blockchain technologies into a new frontier of capital expansion. Now, this is interesting based on everything that we've just said, and this is from 2014. Far from its misunderstood characterization as an ideological revolution to usurp institutions or a subserviency vehicle for the dark arts, the cryptocurrency movement is about advancing the frontier. Very interesting. Ripple's proposition for the poor focused primarily on new opportunities for profits and market expansion for financial institutions. Here we go again. We've got another quote here. In addition to allowing poor customers to become profitable market segments, what the hell does that mean? Open protocols and distributed architectures can enable entirely new and novel offerings. To allow the poor to become a profitable market segment, hence advancing the frontier, Ripple's interoperability protocol promises to unlock the pools of liquidity trapped in Nostra and Vostra accounts. These are the holding accounts of banks so they can actually do these transactions. That Ripple estimates between a US 1.6 and 5 trillion. Here is a statement of Ripple's software development. We found in our research that the biggest cost was the cost of capital. So banks had a huge amount of money sitting in Nostra and Vostra accounts all over the world to be able to facilitate payments. So you have two options. I can either offer you, my customer, an immediate payment, or I can make you wait. If I want to provide you with an instant payment, I need to have liquidity sitting in a destination country, where you want to send it at all times. As said before, the liquidity pressure is particularly hard, especially in low value payments for MTO rather than banks. Here is a comment from Brazilian remittance company, part of RippleNet, so on and so forth. So it says, so the client would pay in our account and we would have sent the transactions. I'm not going to continue to read this. We could literally read this whole article because it is truly fascinating. And of course, this article was largely brought to me by the likes of Smoke and his Twitter accounts. Do go and give him a follow on the back end of this. But I think what is very evident is the cryptocurrency space has largely shifted from its roots and Satoshi's vision in regards to the application of a distributed ledger to facilitate all of this. And actually, instead of trying to combat the traditional financial institutions, is now actually going to enhance them. And I think that's very much confirmed. And the trick here, as an investor, and it spoke about in that article, the poor people. What's the value here? Well, they get to be a market segment. And it's not a lot of people that are going to be getting rich off XRP, I'm afraid. It seems like it because everyone's talking about it. But if you look at the amount of XRP that's actually held by the public out there, it's a tiny amount. It's 1 point something, 2% really. It's nothing basically that's actually held in self-custodian wallets by individuals. So there's something really interesting going on with all this. The fact that Ripple as a company came about in 2004 is extremely interesting. Their chief architecture, or one of the original architects of the XRP ledger, is also ex-NSA. David Schwartz is chief technology officer at Ripple. He is a Santa Clara software developer. He developed encrypted cloud storage and enterprise messaging systems for organizations like CNN and the National Security Agency. National Security Agency also in 1997 released an article called How to Make a Mint, the Cryptography of Anonymous Electronic Cash. And this came about before the white paper. And we could even go a hell of a lot further. We're going to play this clip of Ripple's early advertisement. We could even go a hell of a lot further and go down a deeper rabbit hole in regards to actually Jed McCaleb and all of this stuff, but we're not going to for the sake of this video. What I'm going to do there is sort of love and leave you, and I'm going to love and leave you on a clip from the early days of Ripple as a company. And I want to know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section. The thoughts that I'm trying to provoke in this video is, what was the real intent behind this industry? And was the desired effect Bitcoin, which has been nothing short of a marvelous success, or was it to implement in a friendly kind of acceptable way a technology that ultimately was only going to enhance the fiat systems and not do what this industry kind of set out to do, which was disrupt them? And it is disrupting them in many ways, but not in terms of replacing them, if that makes sense. And I guess even you could say it is replacing them in some sense. But what I want to do now is play this clip from Ripple's early days, one of the early videos from them, because it is truly interesting. Very Elon Musk vibes to the whole thing, and then we'll wrap the video up.
Ripple is a great new way to exchange value, letting you pay people through your social network as easily as if you had your own bank. Ripple turns the existing trust on which trade has always been based into a free and secure financial network that serves your needs. You can create your own useful money with only a few mouse clicks. Organize child-minded or after-school programs in a way that fairly rewards everyone. Already have a tab with your friend? Great, now it works like a credit card. Whole communities can easily use Ripple to their advantage. You simply register and connect with people you trust. Now you can use your own financial node, issue valuable personal credit, even see how creditworthy someone is in the trust network. It works with any currency, automatically converting as needed, and it's all completely accessible. Use your social network to make real payments. Ripple connects you with the people you need to know through the people you know. With Ripple, you simply deal with anyone, while Ripple balances your credit relationships and lets you make transactions. Everyone can make transactions through their social networks, sharing credit only with trusted partners, while Ripple safely routes value through chains of nodes connected by degrees of separation. Ripple transfers go through communities of people who know and trust each other, so you don't have to pay fees and have confidence in the network's reliability. Ripple lets individuals and organizations create a new financial option which completely suits their own needs. You'll make money work for you. Create your own powerful credit today and Rippleize your financial goals.
I mean, that clip probably brought up more questions than it gave answers. But that's it from us, guys. Really what we wanted to do, going back to that picture at the start of the video, was perhaps inspire some people to think on a deeper level about what's happening here. The fact that really this industry was sort of given to us as a kind of combatant to the traditional financial systems, a replacement to them, a more libertarian, freer vision. And actually what we're finding out now is that in many cases, it's doing the exact opposite. So that is it from me, ladies and gents. I'm going to love and leave you on that note. There's a great opportunity here with all this, by the way, in investing in tomorrow's new financial world. That's it from me, guys. I'm going to love and leave you on that note. Have a magical day wherever you are and whatever it is you're doing, and I'll see you all in the next one.